New Japan Pro Wrestling has been the undisputed king of Japanese wrestling for decades. From the late 1990s wrestling boom to the international explosion of the 2010s with Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada, New Japan Pro Wrestling has been largely seen as one of the only options for Japanese wrestling by the West. But what if I told you that might be changing? With New Japan in a rebuild phase after losing major stars to AEW, check another video for that story, other Japanese promotions are positioning themselves to fill that void. Companies like All Japan Pro Wrestling Noah, DDT, Stardom, Big Japan, and Dragon Gate are showing signs of life that we haven't seen in quite a few years. So is Japanese wrestling in the middle of a renaissance? And more importantly, can any of these promotions actually challenge New Japan's decades-long dominance? The answer might surprise you. Before we get going though, let me know your favorite wrestling promotion in Japan. Right in the comments. Okay, first, as I mentioned, we need to acknowledge the Vader in the room. New Japan is struggling. Their G1 Climax 2025 had the lowest attendance in 10 years, and Wrestle Kingdom 2025 drew just over 24,000 fans, which is less than half of their 2020 peak. Creatively, New Japan has for the past few decades tried to combine every successful pro wrestling niche in Japan into one, with strong style matches, comedy, women's competition with the IWGP women's title, and a great junior division. But here's what's interesting. While New Japan figures itself out as a conglomerate of all wrestling styles, other niche-down promotions are quietly building momentum. So let's start with Stardom, New Japan's sister promotion. Despite losing major stars to the new Marigold promotion, the company championing Japanese women's wrestling just set an attendance record with 7,503 fans at Yokohama Arena for Saya Kamitani versus Tam Nakano. On the other side of things, DDT's parent company CyberFight has created a wrestling conglomerate that includes Pro Wrestling Noah and Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. They're essentially building their own ecosystem to compete with Bushiroad's New Japan Stardom empire. Dragon Gate is also keeping their product extremely consistent while expanding with their Dragon Gate Network streaming service, showing the company's commitment to digital-first content delivery to their fans. They also revived Dragon Gate USA during WrestleMania weekend in 2025, and that was fun. Big Japan Pro Wrestling is also focusing into its niche of hard-hitting matches and death matches to some increased fanfare, with a notable uptick in attendance this year. And finally, All Japan Pro Wrestling is showing some life with their 2025 Royal Road tournament, drawing nearly 1,000 fans at Corcoran Hall, which is pretty modest numbers, yeah. But consistent growth for a promotion that was left for dead just a few years ago and had to go full-on indie fed. That traditional big three of Japanese wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, All Japan Pro Wrestling, and Pro Wrestling Noah, might fatten up to a big 5 or a big 6 as the landscape fundamentally starts to shift. And how exactly is that shift happening? Well, the most interesting development in Japanese wrestling isn't happening in just one promotion, it's happening across multiple promotions under one corporate umbrella. Let's talk about CyberFight and its acquisition strategy, because it's been pretty brilliant. In January 2020, they purchased Pro Wrestling Noah when it was in a deep struggle. They already owned DDT, which is one of Japan's most creative promotions. What was I saying? Right. They merged everything under CyberFight in September of 2020, creating a wrestling collective that spans traditional Japanese pro wrestling, sports entertainment, comedy, Joshi wrestling, and everything in between. DDT's Wrestle Peter Pan 2025 is a wild event name, but it was held over 2 nights for the first time, featuring wrestlers from New Japan Pro Wrestling and showcasing that CyberFight has the resources and ambition to compete in Japan. Pro Wrestling Noah has also found new life since being acquired by CyberFight. Their partnership with legendary figures like Keiji Muto, who won the GHC Heavyweight Championship at Nippon Budokan in 2021, has brought credibility and star power back to a promotion that was floundering just a few years ago. Noah's Junior Tag League and ongoing storylines are creating the kind of consistent programming that really builds loyal audiences. They're not just surviving, they're positioning themselves as a legitimate alternative for fans who want traditional Japanese pro wrestling storytelling. WWE has also meddled in Noah a bit in the past few years, letting AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura go for a match there, sending Omos to do a brief stint over there to learn something, I hope, and sending NXT talent over there semi-regularly. President Sanshiro Takagi has been pretty open about his goal: overtake New Japan Pro Wrestling as Japan's largest promotion. That includes eventually holding a show at the Tokyo Dome, New Japan's most sacred venue. That's kind of like if Ring of Honor had a show at Madison Square Garden, which Oh yeah, they did. All that isn't just ambitious talk, though. CyberFight has the infrastructure, the talent exchange agreements, and the streaming platform, Wrestle Universe, to make it happen. They're building a legitimate alternative to the Bushiroad wrestling empire at a time where Bushiroad is struggling the most. But not in all areas. Stardom's story in 2025 might be the most compelling in all of Japanese wrestling. After losing major stars like Julia to WWE and Utami Hayashishita to Rossi Ogawa's new Marigold promotion, many predicted that Stardom would be star done. I'm sorry. But instead, they've done the opposite. Under new president Taro Okada, no relation to the Rainmaker, Stardom has rebuilt magnificently. Their Star Grand Queendom 2025 is being called a top 3 Stardom show of all time by wrestling critics. A lot of that has to do with the emotional retirement of Tam Nakano at that event. Losing to Saya Kamitani in a career versus career match created the kind of genuine storytelling that pays off your lifetime wrestling fandom. Meanwhile, Starlight Kid's run with the Wonder of Stardom Championship has been excellent, finally fulfilling her star potential. But here's the most impressive part. Despite the Marigold exodus and a revenue decline to $43 million, which is down from $44.8 million, Stardom is actually gaining momentum. Business improved significantly from April to June 2025, and analysts expect bigger young stars to emerge next year. Stardom now has something that New Japan is desperately trying to build, that consistent emotional investment from their audience. When your fans are crying at retirement matches and setting attendance records, you've achieved something that a bunch of yen cannot buy. Although it would help. And don't sleep on the Japanese veterans making noise either. All Japan Pro Wrestling is experiencing quite a bit of a renaissance under the leadership of legends who refuse to let the promotion die. I mean, really, All Japan has been through hell since the 2000s started. Jun Saito is having a great run as the new AJPW Triple Crown Heavyweight Champion, successfully defending the title 7 times after capturing it in December of 2024. That's the kind of consistent main event picture that builds long-term fan investment. And then there's Dragon Gate, the Kobe-based promotion that's been quietly maintaining its unique identity in Japanese wrestling. Known for their junior heavyweight style, emphasizing high-flying maneuvers and technical grappling, Dragon Gate has carved out a distinct niche that feels completely different from anyone else in Japan, and it's fun as hell to watch. Certified. Dragon Gate's consistency and brand loyalty might be their greatest asset. While other promotions chase international expansion or try to copy New Japan's formula, Dragon Gate has stuck to what they do best, creating a competition-influenced product that appeals to their specific fan base. Their Dragon Gate network streaming service and regular partnerships with American promotions like MLW show they're thinking globally while acting locally. But here's something that might surprise you. The Japanese economy's struggles might actually be helping these smaller promotions compete. When New Japan is losing stars to AEW because Bushiroad can't match American contracts under a very weak yen, the other Japanese promotions are building sustainable business models that don't rely on competing globally for talent. Stardom's merger into New Japan's business unit with Bushiroad's shows that even corporate overlords recognize the need for diversification here. Instead of putting all their eggs in the New Japan basket, they're spreading their bets across multiple promotions and styles. DDT's streaming-first approach with Wrestle Universe gives them direct access to fans without relying on traditional television deals. They can experiment, they can take risks, and build cult followings that translate into consistent revenue. The lesson from New Japan's decline is pretty clear. Depending too heavily on international expansion and American partnerships makes you vulnerable when those relationships change. The promotions that are focusing on building strong domestic fan bases might be positioning themselves for long-term success in Japan. Now back to New Japan for a second. All this puts enormous pressure on New Japan's new president, Hiroshi Tanahashi. The same guy who once pulled New Japan out of a creative slump as a performer now has to save the company as an executive. Tanahashi has said that creating and keeping big stars is his priority, acknowledging that, quote, "This is a star-driven business and we need to make new stars. Mainstream awareness and name value is the key to success." But here's his big meaty challenge sandwich. While he's trying to rebuild New Japan, his competitors aren't standing still. Stardom is setting attendance records, CyberFight is building a wrestling empire, and All Japan is quietly delivering consistent main event stars. Tanahashi succeeded as a wrestler because he understood storytelling and emotional connection with the fan base. Now he needs to apply those same skills to an entire company while competing against promotions that are hungrier, more creative sometimes, and less burdened by expectations of international expansion. And the question isn't whether Tanahashi can save New Japan, it's whether he can do it before other promotions establish themselves as legitimate alternatives in the minds of Japanese wrestling fans and wrestling fans around the globe. So is Japanese wrestling due for a renaissance? I think we're seeing some early signs. Multiple promotions are setting attendance records, creating emotional storylines, and building sustainable business models, and that's not a coincidence. That is an evolution. Although the company still holds a lot of weight, the era of New Japan's unchallenged dominance might be ending, replaced by a more competitive landscape where multiple promotions can thrive at the same time. Stardom has proven that losing major stars doesn't have to mean losing your audience if you focus on storytelling. CyberFight has shown that combining different wrestling styles under one umbrella can create something unique. Dragon Gate has weathered the storm of Japanese economical pressures and remains as a stalwart in the market. Big Japan is still rocking and rolling, those crazy and All Japan Pro Wrestling has demonstrated that its legacy brand still has life to give. Even if none of the promotions are at the level of generating massive international appeal, good stories and good matches are always how the groundswell starts. And no, I don't think any of these promotions will likely achieve New Japan's peak international success in the 80s and the 2010s anytime soon, but they don't need to. Success in 2025 might look a bit different. Smaller crowds, more intimate venues, stronger domestic fan bases, and most importantly, wrestling that prioritizes emotional investment over expanding too fast. This potential Japanese wrestling renaissance isn't about one promotion taking over. It's about multiple promotions thriving simultaneously, creating a diverse ecosystem that gives fans more choices and wrestlers more opportunities. Whether New Japan can adapt to this new reality under Tanahashi's leadership remains to be seen, but one thing is pretty certain. Japanese wrestling's future is brighter and more competitive than it's been in quite a while. So what do you think? Are we witnessing the beginning of a new golden age for Japanese wrestling, or is New Japan's dominance just too entrenched to challenge? Let me know in the comments. Hope you learned something today, and don't forget to
Oooo Chavo!